All right, we're gonna open the September 5th Planning and Zoning meeting at 4 o'clock. First thing on our agenda today is approval of the minutes from the August 1st, 2024 regular meeting. Has everyone reviewed the minutes? Oops, sorry about that. Does anybody have any corrections or?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as provided.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to second. All in favor, raise your hand. All right, the minutes are approved. We'll move on to 2A. You want to lead us into this, Drew?
Yes, sir. It's a final plat for the Bluewood subdivision, 11.095 acre tract of land situated in the Walter Fosgate Survey 120, Abstract 138, Kerr County, Texas, more commonly known as 1225 Kowloon Boulevard. This is the final plat. Preliminary plat came to you guys in December or January. There's the water and wastewater easements on site for their loops. Everybody can read that. We do have two conditions recommended for approval: that the execution of the subdivision improvement agreement and posting of security for the public improvements to be completed prior to the recordation of the final plat per the subdivision code, section 8233D5. That confirmation of compliance will be confirmed by city staff. And the homeowners association or property owner association documents will be approved prior to the recordation of the final plat per subdivision code section 8265, and confirmation of compliance will be deferred to city staff as well. Otherwise, the final plat meets the subdivision ordinance, and staff recommends it for approval with those conditions. Be pleased to answer any questions.
So the HOA confirmation is for the property, for the lots?
Yes, so they have some off-site drainage easements that are they're on the remainder tract of this overall property. The current landowner and the project owner are gonna create a public or a property owners association for the maintenance requirements of that drainage easement and some other maintenance requirements on the property. Subdivision code, section 65 does require city attorney's office to review those to make sure they're in compliance. And then the subdivision improvement agreement, they are going to record the plat prior to construction of the city streets and city water and sewer mains. So those will be tied up with the subdivision improvement agreement and the bonding financial guarantee for that, so that they can record the plat early and then hit the ground running on both public improvements and the property improvements.
Does anybody have any questions? Is there someone here representing the owners?
No, there's not.
Anybody got any questions of Drew before we vote on this? All right, I have no questions, so I'll entertain a motion on the final plat.
I'll move to approve with the two conditions that have been included.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve with the two conditions. All in favor? All right, we'll move on to 2B.
This is a preliminary plat for Megacrete Plant, Lot 1, a 28.60 acre tract of land out of the W.T. Cook Survey number 71, abstract number 114, Kerr County, Texas, being a portion of the 86.71 acre tract in volume 1657, page 718 of the official public records, Kerr County, Texas, more commonly known as 310 Peterson Farm Road. There's the entire tract, and this one's broken up in 3 pages. This is the majority of Lot 1. It does carry on to a small portion of it is on page 2, which is part of the remainder tract. And then this is part of the remainder tract closer to the creek. I'll leave it there so you can actually see where that lot is. This is consistent with subdivision code, so staff recommends approval.
Questions? All right, if we have no questions, I will entertain a motion on this preliminary plat for Megacrete Plan.
Mr.
Chairman, I'll move for approval.
We have a motion to approve the preliminary plat.
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor, raise your hand. All right, we will move into the public hearing phase, and we'll begin with annexation. Take us into that, Drew.
Yeah, just one second. So this is an ordinance to annex into the city limits, the city Kerrville Incorporated limits with the zoning classification of R3 multifamily residential, 13.08 acre tract of land situated in Kerr County, portion of the 20.91 acre tract of land described in the special warranty deed 24-02372, the official public records of Kerr County. And so you can see on the map there, the black line running through the property is the current city limits. So 3A, this first case, is the portion that to be annexed into the city limits, zoned R3. The next case is to rezone the portion inside the city limits from ag to R3. There's the current zoning. It is part of Strategic Catalyst Area 8, which does include multifamily housing as part of that catalyst area along the loop. That catalyst area is focused on this undeveloped property along Loop 534, the high school and middle school. There's that description of the Strategic Catalyst Area 8. It is consistent with the comprehensive plan and zoning policies, and staff recommends approval. I'd be pleased to answer any questions before or after the public hearing.
I have no one signed up to speak, but I'm gonna open the public hearing at 4:06. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this issue? Is the owners here?
Yes, sir.
Does anyone have any questions for the owner? So Drew, the property the part of this property that is ag, zoned ag, already in the city, has access to city water and sewer?
It will have access. They're gonna have to do some main extensions to cross 534. There are some water system improvements that the city has in the works for the water pressure in this area. And then they'll go through, obviously, their infrastructure design and capacity analysis for that.
And that will encompass the annexed property as well?
That's correct.
Is there any request from the city for assistance in any way on this at this point?
Not at this point.
That was my question. Anyone else have any questions? All right, if there are no questions, I did close the public hearing. Or did I? Maybe I didn't.
Did not.
I'll close the public hearing at 4:07. If there are no further questions, I will entertain a motion on this annexation and zoning.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. All right. We'll move into 3C.
3C is an ordinance to change the zoning from Planned Development District. Oh, excuse me, let's do 3B first.
I'm sorry, 3B. Sorry, Drew, that was
I
my
skipped right
bad.
past it. An ordinance to change the zoning from ag to R3 multifamily residential on 7.83 acres of that same 20.91 acre tract of land. And again, it's consistent with the Strategic Catalyst Area 8, and staff recommends for approval.
Again, I have no one signed up to speak, but I'll open the public hearing at 4:08. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this issue? Okay, I'll close the public hearing at 4:09. Any questions from the commissioners? Yeah, John?
Ag is the default zoning when things are annexed in?
That is correct. And furthermore, with this area, prior to Schreiner University annexing that triangle of land behind the middle school, when the loop was built, we annexed, say, roughly 200 feet on either side of the loop. And that was rezoned in 2019 to ag, not knowing what type of projects would be coming, so.
So what's across the loop was also ag at one time before?
It was, that's correct. And when Schreiner annexed, they requested C3 for that inside the loop strip of frontage. That is correct.
Anything else? All right, we'll entertain a motion on 3B for a zoning change.
Move for approval.
Motion to approve,
I'll second.
and a second. Motion to approve and second. All in favor, raise your hand. Now we can move to 3C.
Try that one more time. This is an annex, or excuse me, an ordinance to change the zoning from Planned Development District PD 1605 to C2 light commercial on approximately 2.41 acres. The airport, Kerrville Airport Commerce Park Phase 1, Block 2, Lot 1, more commonly known as 101 Airport Commerce Parkway. This was part of the Planned Development District for the entire Airport Commerce Park. Some of the restrictions on that would be limiting to this property, so they were interested in actually downzoning to a light commercial instead of the industrial zoning that the PD is based on. It is part of the Strategic Catalyst Area 11, focusing on the airport and Highway 27. There's the property again there, adjacent to Fox Tank. And so one of the restrictions of the PD that they were interested in would be access directly to Highway 27, which would have to go through TxDOT approval. The PD, with the original design, go back to that larger map. The Airport Commerce Park had more or less a U-shaped loop going through the property for access to all those back lots, but the frontage lots did not have access to Highway 27. With it being TxDOT authority, the city is not concerned with access on 27 for the single lot, so staff recommends approval.
Okay, I'm gonna open the public hearing on this at 4:11, and I do not have anyone signed up to speak. Is the owner of this property here? Owner and the representative, does anyone have any questions for the owner on the change in zoning? All right, pretty quiet group. Close this public hearing at 4:12, and we'll entertain a motion on the change of
I've
the.
got a question, Mike.
Okay, go ahead.
Not for the public hearing, but this is far enough away from the runway that it's, FAA has no authority, it's not in the flyway, is that correct?
It is not in the flight path. It is within the airport height restriction zoning. Off the top of my head, I think their height restriction would be about 150 feet building height, so they would be clear there. Any lighting does have to be approved by the FAA. They'll go through that process.
All those things are taken into,
That's correct.
That would come before any development.
Right. That would come through with the permitting process to make sure those were checked off. If the FAA did have any concerns with lighting. With the dark sky ordinance, I wouldn't anticipate any issues anyway. Everything's got to be down lighting, so it's not, doesn't look like a runway, doesn't look like an airport adjacent.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the zoning change.
I'll second.
Have a second. Motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Yes, we're done.
We do have another meeting October 3rd for our next regular P and Z meeting. And we do have a special called meeting October 23rd at 4 o'clock as the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. We're meeting again with Freese and Nichols and their team, sharing the results of the public survey and some of the initial draft work that they've put together for the comp plan chapter updates.
Gonna be here, Drew, 23rd?
Yes, sir. So the Downtown Advisory Committee will actually meet at 2 o'clock before you guys. That's primarily the TERS Board number 1 with liaison from Main Street and Historic Downtown Business Association. Then we'll have P and Z meeting, or the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee, at 4 o'clock. And then following that, we'll actually have a public engagement meeting at the Arcadia Theater at 6 o'clock.
On the 23rd?
Yes, sir. And you guys are welcome to attend all 3 of those, and of course, be here for the 4 o'clock meeting.
So the Arcadia meeting at 6 o'clock is just,
It'll be a public presentation of all of the work Freese and Nichols has done up to that point, and they will have some interactive stations to get some more input from the community based on what they've drafted so far. So it'll be similar to what we've seen with the initial comp plan. Presentation at the beginning, open it up to the interactive stations and let people talk amongst staff and the Freese and Nichols team and give some
We be
input.
at that meeting?
You can? That would be good?
Oh, that's not my question. Should we?
I think that would be good, yes, sir. And so we'll be sure to post, obviously, that you guys, possible quorum and so on, so that we're covered if you guys all do show up. But that way you can communicate with the public as well as your input and your work that you guys have had so far.
Anybody have anything they'd like to see on future agendas?
I've got one thing, but I'd like it off the record, so you can go ahead and gavel.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned.